What I'd like to do today is share with you some just sort of random tips about if you've decided to move to another country. And it could be Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, whatever. And these are just general rules I've learned. Now, for those who don't know, I've been out here in the Philippines and a year in Vietnam since 2012. So, I've learned a few things along the way. And I just want to share those with you to shorten the learning curve and maybe save yourself some time and some hassle. I did speak with somebody just yesterday who said, "Oh, do you have one video that covers everything that you need to know?" No, and if I did, it would probably be 3 hours long. So I'm just going to kind of quickly, briefly, in no particular priority, cover a couple of things. Now, the first general thing that you should have in mind, and this applies even to long vacations, 3-4 weeks. If it's your first time out traveling and such, double, triple check everything. Double, triple check your itinerary. Make a checklist. Take a notepad. Don't do it online because, you could do it in Word or Excel, but you really need something in front of you that you can walk around and double check, an actual list. And for instance, I just saw a post yesterday and a guy came to the Philippines and was completely unaware that in order to enter the Philippines within 72 hours of arrival, you have to go to a website, the e-travel website for the Philippines, and you have to fill out a very simple little form. It's just basically your name, your passport number, your flight number. So you can't do this 4 days or before. You have to do it within 3 days of your departure. Very simple. I mean, once you've done it, it takes 5 minutes. Maybe your first time will take you 15 minutes. But very simple little form. It's got maybe 8 things it asks of you. Your name, your anticipated place you plan to stay. They even have the hotels in a little drop-down box. So you want to fill out that e-travel at least 72 hours before you depart for the Philippines. Now, this guy just didn't know that. And here he's moving to the Philippines, and he just apparently did not do his homework. Do your homework. Make a list, a checklist. Another one that catches a lot of guys off guard is your passport. Yes, you may look at it and go, "Oh yeah, my passport's still valid. It's good for another 4 months and I'm only going for a month." You have to have at least minimum 6 months validity still on your passport in order to travel. So if your passport's going to expire in 4 months, you're going to find out at the airport you're not going anywhere. And at worst, you're going to fly all the way. They won't catch it, and you'll get all the way to the Philippines or Thailand or wherever you're going. And then you'll find that you're going to have trouble getting back. And now you got to deal with an embassy to try to get another passport and all this. So at least have a year's worth of time for a 4-month stay on your passport. And if you think you're going to stay any longer, really just get a new passport. That way you got, I believe it's, at least in the United States, it's good for 10 years and you're good to go. So double check your passport. Another huge mistake, and I made this back in 2012, I came to the Philippines to live here, first visit, and I moved here permanent and been here since in 2012. The mistake I made, I brought a carry-on suitcase, a medium-sized suitcase, and the largest suitcase that you're allowed to bring on an aircraft. I don't remember if I had a backpack or not, but that was way too much stuff, way too much. Even though I was going to move here permanent, a lot of guys think they need to bring everything in the kitchen sink with them because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going into the frontier and I need to bring supplies. All you really need truly is a week's worth of clothes. So we're talking maybe 2 pairs of cargo shorts, 5 or 6 clean shirts, underwear for the whole week, clean socks for the whole week. I'll get to that also in a minute. And your toiletries, but resist the temptation to bring your favorite blender, your favorite wok, or your stereo system, or anything else. You will thank yourself by getting to the Philippines or whatever country you're going to move to and traveling light, because then on a whim, you want to change islands, you want to change hotels, you want to change the apartment that you're renting at. You can do so easily. Once I got here, most of that stuff, I just either gave it away, threw it in the trash. I brought a really nice leather satchel bag that was really handy for just carrying stuff around. But it was made of real leather. Well, here in the Philippines, it's so humid. I had it hanging in the closet for about maybe a couple of weeks. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to need that when I go to town. So I go to get it, and it was just covered in mold because of the humidity. You know, the leather just absorbed it all, and then it just started to rot. So I even brought a really big flat screen. That was probably the dumbest thing I brought along. Now, it did survive the trip, but I ended up plugging it in, and most electrical items are made to be used, especially if it's a television, a laptop. If it's made in Asia, it's made to run on the 220 current or the 110 current. That's most items. And this monitor was made to run on 220. However, I was living in the province, so I plug in my monitor, and then the power went out. I was like, okay, whatever. So the power came back on, and when it did, there was a power surge. It blew out all the electronics on the big screen. That went in the trash too. I brought pants, Levi pants. Now, back in 2012, you had to wear a pair of pants to go into immigration. They got rid of that rule, which just made no sense. I mean, other than appearance, but it's really hot in the Philippines. You do not want to be wearing Levi pants or any pants. Cargo shorts are the way to go, preferably with a zipper so that you can put your wallet in there and it's fairly safe. I had brought 3 pairs of Levi pants, and I only needed 1 pair to go to immigration, and 3 years later, they got rid of that rule. So those got burned in the fire. My point being, you only need a week's worth of stuff, because once you're here, you just take it to the laundromat. And for a couple bucks, they'll wash it, dry it, fold it, wrap it in plastic for you. And they usually have it within 24 hours. And pretty much in any major city, if you're staying anywhere near where there's condos or hotels or malls, there's always a laundromat. There'll be several laundromats. So just bring a week's worth of clothes, maybe a few sentimental items, your laptop gear, which leads me to camera. Now, I've been a camera buff since 1984. I got my first Canon AE-1 celluloid. That was before digital. I just love photography. Now, over the years, I fought against getting a DSLR, a digital single lens reflex camera. I fought against it. I just felt I was being untrue to celluloid. But there were so many advantages, and they kept getting better and better. Plus, I could edit my photos. So I thought, okay, I'll make the switch. So I sold off the celluloid version, and then I got the Sony DSLR. Now, it has a camera body, detachable lens, just like a regular DSLR. And I ended up selling that too after a couple of years. Sold it to an expat whose wife was taking up photography in Cebu. And the reason I did that is because one of the age-old answers to the question, what's the best camera? The answer to that question is the camera you have with you. And what I found over the years is that now they have the processing resolution that rivals a DSLR. You get yourself a decent current model smartphone, and whether it's an iPhone, a Samsung, and there are great cameras in there with all kinds of features and filters. I always have mine set to like 12 megapixels. I get really high resolution images. I can overcrop and then crop in without getting a bunch of graininess. So the point being, unless you are just really serious about doing semi-professional DSLR camera work, unless that really is your passion, don't bring your smartphone and a camera. Because when you're out traveling around and you see something interesting, you might be going out just walking to the grocery store and you see, I don't know, a cat, a dog, a person, and bam, you got that camera right there in your pocket. But I can tell you, and you probably know, if you're still into DSLR, the cam with the lens, you got to devote a third of your backpack space to that, and then plug all that around. So my recommendation is when it comes to photography, just use a high quality camera that's already on your smartphone. Back to what I mentioned earlier about having just a week's worth of socks. When I first moved to the Philippines, I thought, oh, well, I'm going to go native. I'm retired. I'm going to wear sandals and flip-flops everywhere I go. And if you look around, most Filipinos do wear flip-flops or even the Velcro strap sandals. I did that for about 3-4 years, and I nearly broke my toenail tripping over a jagged, broken part of the sidewalk. And it had been an ongoing thing. Everything from little potholes, cracked cement, no sidewalk, rocks. I know you can do it, and Filipinos do it, but I just decided that day when I nearly broke my toenail, I thought, you know what? I'm done with sandals. And I switched over to shoes. Now, I ended up getting Merrell's, Gio, if you know Gio, my buddy. He's the one that turned me on to them. In fact, I was with him when I think he bought his first pair. And then I've had now 2 pairs. They're well-made shoes, and I'm not getting paid to say any of this. I don't have any kind of sponsorship with them, but they really are quality, well-made shoes. They'll run you anywhere from $100 to maybe $200, but they will last you forever. They're very rugged. You know, they're the kind of tennis shoe you want if you want to protect your feet. I see expats all the time riding their motorbike through town, wearing their flip-flops, very carefree. But the day they got to lay that bike down, you do not want to be wearing flip-flops. I'm telling you, you could lose toes that way. You could really, not like shoes are going to protect you from anything, but I'd much rather lay my bike down wearing a rugged pair of shoes than just some flimsy flip-flop. Another big item is, and too many guys learn this the hard way, but before you come to the Philippines, while you are still in your home country, get your banking in order. And what I mean is you should have 3 to 5 different ways to access your money overseas. Okay? I cannot emphasize that enough. I've talked to too many guys over the years that moved over here. They had one debit card and they either lost it, it got stolen, or what happens most of the time, they put it in an ATM machine and the machine sucks it in. Now, that was the only way they had to access their money, and now they're calling me, hey, can you help me contact my bank in the UK and this and that, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Don't get stuck in that situation. While you're in your home country, at minimum, have 2 bank accounts. I believe it's Capital One. They have, I believe, what's called a 360 account, which is free, okay? Free. And you get a debit card. It's almost like a credit union arrangement. Not in structure, but I mean, you don't have the monthly fee. As far as I know, nothing has changed. So have at least 2 bank accounts in your home country so that your money goes into either one of those accounts, whether it's your pension, your rental income, whatever money you have coming in. Do not, and that's another thing, don't feel you need to set up a Philippines bank account. Philippines is not crazy about giving bank accounts to foreigners. It's extra paperwork for them. They don't get paid for it. They put a lot of obstacles in the way. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't, but you don't need it. And I see guys do this. They set up their pension to auto deposit to a bank in the Philippines. Then they get sick and they're just well enough to fly back to their home country to get medical care. But now they have to change their direct deposit. Sometimes that can easily be done. Other times it's like, oh, well, go to the Philippine bank and sign this. Well, you've already don't do it. Have your direct deposits for your pension, your Social Security in your home country's bank. Because then, not only should you have at least 2 bank accounts, like I have 4, but you have a debit card for each card. And I know it all depends on your credit, but try to have at least 2 to 3 credit cards. Not only does that give you a line of credit if you were to have a medical emergency, you go to the hospital, you lay down your card, and they'll go ahead and admit you. Many hospitals will not admit you unless you can put down a $500 or $300 deposit. But if you have a card with a balance on it, you can just pull the money out, or you can put it on record with billing, and they'll go ahead and admit you into the hospital and just charge it on your way out. But you should have the two bank accounts, which each bank account comes with its own debit card. You should have credit cards. And what you want to do is put an arm's length of distance between whatever merchant you're going to use in the Philippines, whether it's a hotel, a restaurant, whatever, and your main bank account. And the way you do that is you get what's called a GCash card. Now, GCash, you have to be in the Philippines and have a Philippine phone number. You have to have your ACR card, and then you can set it up. I've had guys tell me, I had my ACR card and they wanted an SRRV card and I couldn't do it. I've had one for years, and and I know other people that have done it too. All I can imagine is operator error. They just didn't know how to do the app or something. But once you have your GCash card and your GCash account, now you can use the online remittance companies, Remitly and WorldRemit and Wise.com, much better options. And have all three. You can set up accounts with all of them for free. And this way, if one of them shuts you down, you just use the other one. Now, these remittance companies is simply to move your money. So you've got your money going to your home bank account. You just use the app on the phone. I find it's really fast. I mean, I can move money in like 3 to 4 minutes. And you just log in. You've already got your bank attached to, let's say, Remitly. And I've got a link, actually. Now that I do have an affiliate link for in the description. So if you want to use that. But you go to Remitly, you've got your bank account attached to it, and you just simply tell it, move money from this bank account into my GCash card. So you're funding your GCash card. So let's say you move $300 into your GCash card. Now you go to buy groceries with the GCash card. The only thing that's in it is $300 in peso equivalent. And there's no attachment. If somebody steals that card or whatever, you've got a cap, a limit on your losses. Because even if somebody did steal your card and had your PIN code, you can go on the phone and turn off the card. So it can't be used. Okay. Not only that, but you're only going to be liable to the balance you keep in it. So if you've only got $50 in there and you still haven't shut down the card, well, $50 is all they can take. But just to kind of quickly recap, multiple bank accounts in your home country, get a GCash card, and use remittance companies to move money into the GCash card. So when you're going about town, I book my air flights, I book my hotels, I book a lot of stuff through either my GCash card, or instead of using your debit card when you're going to book a flight or book a hotel, the other thing I'll do is I'll use my Capital One card. This way, I get like 3% back. Depends on whether it's a hotel or a restaurant or whatever. So do those two things. Why the credit card? Because if something comes up and there's a false charge on there, you can dispute it with a credit card. But if you got something fishy that somebody did to you on your debit card, well, that money has been moved. It's gone. End of story. Okay? And if they wipe out your entire account, it's gone. You don't have the same protections like you do with a credit card. So can't emphasize that enough. You don't want to be in a foreign land scratching your head thinking, oh man, how am I going to get my money? I got to pay rent. How do I get my money? You don't want to be in that position. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you first move to a foreign land, say Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, whatever, understand this about yourself. You are in a honeymoon phase. Everything seems rosy. It's all an adventure. And that's great. Nothing wrong with that. You are on an adventure. And everything is new to you. However, don't be gullible. Don't let your mind tell you, well, this is like Disneyland. This is a safe place. I can trust people. They're friendly. No. Understand that you are out here live without a net. Okay? You don't have the same support system with your family and the legal system that you had back in your home country. So be extra mindful about your phone, your wallet, your passport. It frustrates me when I hear guys say, well, I'm worried about losing my passport because I have to keep it on me at all times. No, you don't. You don't need to keep your passport on you at all times. You don't. Find a safe place where you're living to put it. I've talked about the lock tote bags. There's a little 6x9 one that just big enough to put a phone and your credit cards, your debit cards, your passport, and you lock it to the bed frame or the piping in under the bathroom sink, whatever, but find a secure, hidden place to keep your passport. Do not carry it with you around. There was another post not even like 3 months ago, and the guy was posting, he said, well, I had my passport in my pocket, it wasn't zippered, and he goes, I remember it was with me when I left wherever, and then it wasn't with me. So he goes, it's somewhere on this stretch of road. And he's saying, I'll give, like, I forget what it was. It was like, a $40, $50 reward or something. He goes, if anybody can just walk those roads and find, it was a total Hail Mary pass. Good luck. So what you want to have is your passport in a safe place, not on your person, because you really just need to show it to immigration. And if you get asked for ID by, say, in Philippines, the Philippines National Police, the PNP, or any local police, what you're obligated to provide is a photo government ID. That's what you're required to provide. It does not have to be your passport. You can just carry your driver's license. You can get a postal ID in your own home country. It's got your photo. It's a government ID. So work with that. But do not go dragging your passport around with you every time you go into town to get groceries or go to the beach. Another thing, and I've talked about this before, cargo shorts. I have other shorts I wear around the house which don't have zippered pockets because I'm just wearing them around the house. But when I go into town, I only wear cargo shorts that either have a button, a snap clip, or my preferred is the cargo shorts I have which have a zipper to close the pocket. That way, I know pretty darn sure nobody's going to go reaching in my pocket. Now, a good pickpocket could probably work with the button or the clasp, but that's not the level of criminals you have here. Here, it's all about amateur hour, just, snatch and run kind of a thing. This is not France. This is not Italy. You don't have a subculture of pickpockets in the Philippines. Like I said, it's mostly if there's an opportunity, if you leave your phone on the table at the Jollibee and you go up and ask for napkins, chances are your phone's not going to be there when you walk back. They even have little signs in every Jollibee and every McDonald's all over the place. It says, we are not responsible for stolen items. Watch your things. So it's opportunity. And I've seen videos as well where women or even men with a backpack, they're sitting in a booth and there's a booth behind them. So they sit down and they put their backpack over to the side and they're busy eating and they're reaching over for whatever. Meanwhile, the person behind them just reaches over and walks out the door as fast as possible. And by the time you glance to your right, you're like, where's my backpack? So you have to watch your things. When I have my backpack, which I usually do, I either set it on the bench next to me and I tuck it under my lap. So if it moves, I'm going to know right away it's moving. Or I put it down under the table and I have it leaning against my leg away from the foot traffic, closer to the wall where there are no people. So even if anybody crawls under there and grabs it, it's leaning on my leg and I'll know as soon as it moves. Another thing you want to do before you leave your home country is you want to set up, and there's different ways to do this, a way to get your banking passwords. They're called OTP, one-time password. I'm sure you're familiar with it now that most places require two-factor authentication. So what happens too many times is guys just come here, they do get a local phone, but now they can't get their one-time passwords. So it won't go to their Filipino phone, and it won't go through a VoIP system. Guys have told me who set up new Google Voice numbers that they had problems. Their bank would not send it to any kind of VoIP. Same thing with Skype. Banks don't want to send it to that anymore. In fact, Skype doesn't even offer that text service anymore anyways. So you can check out different ways. Now, one way is to get an eSIM. Let's say you're from the United States. You get an eSIM for the United States. You download it into your phone. Your phone has to be compatible to use an eSIM. Otherwise, you have to physically have a physical SIM card pushed into your phone. And then that way, you're on an American network like T-Mobile or Verizon, and you can get the text. Now, what I decided to do was I just figured, you know what? I want an ironclad, never going to disappear option. And I actually got this idea from Geo. When I was on one of my trips in the United States, before I left, I got online to Mint Mobile and I ordered a phone. So I ordered it like 3-4 days before I left the Philippines to be shipped to where I was going to be there, staying with my folks. And so I get to my folks, and a day or two later, bingo, the phone shows up in the mail. I activate it, get it all set up, and then this did two things. Number one, when I got back to the Philippines, as far as Mint Mobile is concerned, I'm on, I believe, the T-Mobile network. So when the bank sends the text, I don't even have to be in roaming mode, because roaming mode, if you're thinking that's an option, it'll work, but it's expensive. So I don't really recommend that. So I don't even have to go into roaming mode. My Mint Mobile phone will give me the one-time password. The other thing this does for me is when I go back to the United States, I have that phone already charged. I get off the plane, say LAX or Texas, where I happen to be going, and I just turn on the phone and bam, I'm already on the network. I already have internet to get my Uber or let people know I got there okay. Because the airport Wi-Fi, it works most of the time, but you don't want to be stranded without Wi-Fi signal. With Mint Mobile, it's like $15 a month your first year, and then I think it goes to like $25. Still worth it to me for the peace of mind to know that I'm always going to have my one-time passwords, and I'm always going to have a data plan in place when I get back to the States. Just hit the ground running. Now, to wrap up, I want to leave you with the same thing I've been saying for years and years and years and years, since 2012. It is your first year in the Philippines. Most especially if you're coming here to meet a Filipina that you've already been talking to, which you should not do. Do not pipeline some girl to be waiting for you at the airport or to meet as soon as you get here. I know it's the easiest thing to fall into. Do not do it. Because number one, you're limiting yourself to that one woman who maybe you've never even met her in person. You only know her online where you found her on the dating site, and now you're going to meet her for the first time. You're limiting your options to one, and you haven't even given yourself a chance yet. There are literally millions of Filipinas to meet. The other reason is you don't want to waste your time. She may not be who you thought she was. She may not even be female. You might not be compatible. My advice is your first year, do not make any commitments. Don't commit yourself to a relationship. Don't commit yourself to being engaged. Do not get married. Do not loan out money, most especially. You'll never get it back, and you're going to endanger yourself trying to get that money. And lastly, do not make any babies. If you're still firing live rounds, use a condom every single time. Because especially if you're going to be with a young, fertile 20-something, 30-something-year-old Filipina, there's going to be babies. So to recap, the first year, no commitments. In fact, try to stick with a 3-month lease. Do not sign a 1-year lease. Do not loan out money. Do not get engaged. Do not get married. Do not make babies. At least your first year. Because in that first year, you're going to learn a lot about how things work here. You're going to learn a lot about how much opportunity you have here. Different places to live, different women to date, different ways to build your lifestyle. You do not want to lock in with commitments that first year. So that's basically, off the top of my head, some of the most useful, helpful things to keep in mind when you move to another country. If you can think of anything else that I didn't cover, go ahead, put it and share it in the comments. That way everybody benefits. Maybe share some of your experiences learning the hard way, and we'll talk about it more there in the comments.